Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Throwaway and a lot of numbers. Me, 31 male, with my wife, 30 female, of 5 years, have a huge income gap that is causing a lot of problems. My wife and I have been together for a long time. However, over the years, we've started to develop a huge income gap. I got very lucky in a startup and my career is currently paying about $200,000, 5 times the national median income, a year, while she is making a little over $20,000. Now, you would say, great, $220,000 family income is pretty great, and you'd be right. And this is where issues are starting to happen. My better half has a huge problem with our income gap. She is insisting she pulls her own weight. This is caused by some issues with her past and her family pretty much telling her this is the way to do it from a young age. This wouldn't be a problem if we would be making a wage that is roughly comparable. However, this is clearly not the case anymore. In my opinion, I have zero issues with paying for pretty much everything. My take-home is about $9,000 a month. Her take-home is about $1,300 a month. And I can easily afford a comfortable life for both of us even if she stops working. The problem is arising now that I want us to move to a nicer house, and she is insisting she pays for 50% of everything like she has done in the past 5 years. More on that later. The new house would cost per month more than $3,000, which means she'd have to spend 100% of her pay, according to her, on the mortgage, and she is refusing to go along with it. I even offered her that she pays the same as now, but in her words, it would make her feel uncomfortable. That little sentence makes me worry about something else. What she doesn't know is that for the past 5 years, I've pretty much matched whatever she is paying a month into a bank account she doesn't know about. That account has about $60,000 in it, and with investing that money, it's returning about 6% interest annually. I consider this money to be hers, but I worry that when she finds out, all hell will break loose. My question to you guys is, how in the name of whatever deity you prefer do I deal with this? The income gap and the fat savings account. I tried talking to her, I tried talking to her family. The next step would be to talk to a therapist. I am currently sitting on nearly $500,000 in cash and investments that I cannot use because of her unwillingness to spend money. We cannot go on a super expensive vacation because she wants to pay her half. We've gone camping for the past 4 years. I have a decent car, so no point spending it there. How can I make her understand that her stubbornness of wanting to be true financial equals in spending isn't working out for me? I love this woman dearly, and I am convinced that she feels the same about me. A divorce would bring her nothing. Strong prenup, updated annually, with a fully legal clean break clause. And that would also be the last thing I want. One thing I have been considering is just accepting this for a few more years until I save up to reserve that I can retire early, which would be another 7 to 10 years. Or just buying the house with a mortgage that is the same monthly amount as we have now and the rest in cash. However, that would be a bad financial decision on my part. 6 to 7% return on capital, 2.7% mortgage rate. Penelope, in my opinion, I would tell her how you feel. I would tell her all the things that you would like to do with the amount of money that you have, and I would tell her that since you guys are married, that you see that money as a family money. Personally, I totally understand the financial independence, while you're dating, but once you're married, in my opinion, you become a team. And even if there's a prenup, you can still help each other out financially, with chores, with kids, with all of that stuff. To me, that's what a partnership really is. I believe that being equal in a relationship doesn't have to do with how much money you make, but that you make decisions together. That's the key part. That you would consider each other's points of views, wants and needs, and make a decision based on that. Now, in some relationships, people confuse, hey, I am the one that makes more money, so I should be the one making the decisions. And that's where they go wrong. And from what you tell us, that doesn't seem to happen in this case. At least, not from your part. And what do you guys think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Saltpile says, she's probably so focused on doing her fair share that it's escaped her notice that she's actually having a negative effect on your quality of life. which I bet she wouldn't want to do. A rule where if one person wants something extra, like a fancy holiday with his wife or a nice carpet, whatever, then that person can pay for it. Seems like a reasonable compromise so long as she is still covering the basics. That way you are not having to miss out on the good things you want, and sharing them with her is important for you. In terms of buying a house, though, why don't the two of you just legally own it in unequal shares? Say you own 80% of the house, you pay 80% of the mortgage, etc. If the two of you sell it, you get 80% of the profit. That way, she is still pulling her weight and gets the benefit of living in the house in the meantime. It's like a business venture between you. Given that you have a lot of unsecret savings, I think the secret aspect of this $60,000 fund is that you have it earmarked for her. Personally, I think you need to realize that although you see it as hers, she will probably see it as yours. For her to see it as hers would mean she has to see her past contributions as not counting or being cancelled out, which would not be a good feeling. If I were you, I would be very wary on insisting it is her money or making her decide what to do with it, because that would be disrespecting her desire to contribute. The two of you need to compromise somehow. I don't think simply pushing your worldview on her like that is the way to go. Deleted says, do you think the ironclad prenup that is updated yearly, has anything to do with her not feeling fully that you have a combined household income or our money? Are there clauses that punish her in case of divorce for having had access to or use of your income? Does she have legal reasons to want to keep herself separate and independent in marriage? If my husband started making triple and brought me a post-prenup that he updated annually to reflect just how much he did not intend to share with me when, not if, the marriage fails, I wouldn't be cozy with the idea of our money either. And Opie responds, you are just one of many making the wrong assumptions. Painted Moose Toes says, I might be able to offer some long and rambly perspective from your wife's side. My husband and I have a pretty high income gap. I make about 50k, he makes about 200k. I was raised to find pride in my accomplishments and in being independent. I liked the idea of knowing that I built my life and was very proud of being able to take care of myself. I worked 40 hours a week while taking a full college course load. I paid 50% on dates, etc. My husband and I started at close to the same wage out of college. I actually made about $5,000 more. His career then took off and his pay increased dramatically with every new job due to him going into a useful technical field. My career is okay and tops at about 20k more than my starting salary, and that's pretty close to the ceiling. That stings a little bit. It makes me really wish I hadn't followed my passions in school and that I had listened to all the lame adults who warned me that liberal arts were kind of pointless for college. I'm not sure if you're in the US, but here I've noticed that a lot of worth is placed on your job and income. When you meet people, one of the first questions asked is, what do you do? It's also very hard to go from, I made this life, to, I found myself a husband to give me this life. But eventually, I had to let go of the equality because, much like you, our lives had the potential to become much better. It still makes me feel useless sometimes, but I've managed to find other ways to make myself feel like I matter in the world. I volunteer a lot, I participate in races, and take pride in my athletic accomplishments. When my husband and I travel, I do all the research and learn bits of the language for us. So all that to say, maybe she needs to find things to take pride in other than her self-sufficiency in order to let go of this equal partners thing. Because let's face it, even with a college degree, salaries vary vastly, and it's not fair for you to have to pretend you earn the same as her salary when you're happy to share. Opie's edit. I feel I need to clear some things up as pretty much everyone is making the wrong assumptions. 1. The annual prenup update is her idea, not mine. It's quite sad that some of you think that I would want that. Did you read the post? If it were up to me, we'd tear it up today. 2. Annual prenups and prenups in general are very common things where we live. The government is even considering making it the default type of marriage. Alright, well in general OP got some pretty good advice and he cleared up the prenup thing. So now with all of that, let's move on to the update and see what happened next. Firstly, my apologies for replying so late. It's been a strange week and I needed to focus all my energy on dealing with the situation. Secondly, thank you for all the good advice. We got off to a rough start in the previous post, but after I clarified, you guys helped a lot. Now let's get started with the update. I will try to keep it as clear as possible. After she came home from work, we relaxed a bit, as we always do after a long work week, and after talking a bit about work, I told her we need to have a serious talk. She thought the worst right away, but I assured her there was nothing to worry about. I explained the situation about our finances and that I had asked a neutral party for advice. She has no clue what Reddit is, so I just named you guys the neutral party. I explained to her that I was unhappy with the current situation, where I have a huge pot of gold just sitting there, but I have to live like I was on welfare. I explained to her that I wanted to live more comfortably, but not without her, and not without her being happy. She told me she had no idea that I felt that way and that she was happy the way we were. I explained the situation as I explained to you guys before, and told her about the savings and investment account made with the money that she was contributing to the shared finances, and that I considered that money hers. Well, call me an idiot, but she knew about the money, just not that it was hers. She thought it was some kind of small pot of money that I played with or had a special purpose for outside the normal finances. Let's just say she was, as you guys imagined, not too pleased about the fact that it matched what she was contributing. The talk ended there on Friday evening. It was too emotional for her and we decided to continue on Saturday. Mind you, this was at 4 AM on Saturday. Saturday came and I told her it would be better to discuss further with a relationship therapist, and she agreed. I made a few calls and we were planned for last Wednesday. Saturday to Wednesday was uneventful and we both mostly shut up about the situation. Wednesday and Friday, we had the appointment with the relationship therapist. While I will leave the small things out of here, the three main topics discussed were: 1. Reason for her views on shared finances, spending, and having tons of money. 2. Spending patterns. And 3. Contribution to shared finances. So, lo and behold, the monkey came out of the sleeve. That's a saying we have here, meaning the truth is finally revealed. Before I met her, it turns out she and her family had a huge battle with debt. Her parents used to be ridiculously poor due to bad choices in life. Nothing drug-related before you ask, just very poor financial choices, and they lived in near poverty for about a decade. This was compounded by her having an ex-boyfriend before we met that paid for everything, but expected complete and utter control over her in return. I think we can all understand what this resulted in, and for me, everything suddenly became crystal clear. We talked for about 8 hours in total with the therapist over 2 sessions, and the following was agreed upon. 1. Full openness about finances. No more hidden pots of gold. We have an appointment with the private banker that deals with my finances next week to sort of train and teach her about all the money we both have access to. 2. A huge victory. She agreed after the therapist explained to her to contribute the same percentage to our shared costs. She works 40 hours a week. I work more hours than that. But we agreed to rationalize that we both worked full-time and thus would pay the same percentage of our income towards shared expenses. This is roughly about 10% of both our net incomes. 3. The marital agreement situation will stand for now. She is unwilling to talk about changing it for the time being. We have had it updated a short while ago and will consider revising it next year. She is still adamant that we need a full clean break in case something happens, and we both agree that we don't see anything happening anytime soon, so it's a moot point anyway. 4. We will not be getting a bigger house in the next 6 months. However, she is willing to have a look at what is possible. I believe that we can come to an agreement about this in the coming month. And she dropped a small bomb there saying, when we have kids, we'll need something bigger soon anyway. I think she wants kids, which is great. I've explained clearly to her that without her I cannot do my job, and that her emotional support is what keeps me going, and that this means I consider my earnings are possible by her supporting me. This means that those earnings also belong to her. She didn't agree, but I think this understanding will come over time. OP's clarification. We were always agreeing on having kids, she was just not ready for it for a while. Seems she is now, which is awesome. Well, OP, I think this is a good update. Communication, help from an outside source, which was the therapist, and then the compromise helped a lot. You both are happier now and see a brighter future together, so that's great. Congratulations, OP, to you and your wife, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user NoConcept9848. Here's 33% of your website. I had a trophy wife client who had a frozen yogurt business paid for by her husband. They contacted me and asked me to design and build a new website for her business. I gave them a quote and they asked if they could pay me in 3 installments. After we all agreed on the terms, I had written approval and I received my 33% deposit. I got cracking. We had regular check-ins and they were happy with the progress until one day they just went quiet. They were already behind on the second payment and I was growing impatient. I was done with the site and just needed final approval and payment before launching it, but I couldn't get hold of either of them. I eventually got hold of the lady at her day job after weeks of being ghosted. She calmly told me that they found someone cheaper and that they wouldn't be paying the remaining 66% even though the project was complete and all their feedback was addressed. She told me that I could just give her 33% of the files and move on with my life. I made it clear that websites don't really work if you only upload 33% of the files, sarcastically, at which point she hung up the phone. I still had their FTP details for their brand domain that hosted their current old website, so I decided to take revenge. I created a page with an animated fake loading bar that was stuck at 33%. Underneath the loading bar was the message, "This company does not pay their suppliers. They decided to pay only 1/3 of their price, so now they have only 1/3 of a website." I went as far as to download the website files, split it up in roughly 3 portions, file size, and uploaded a zip folder containing 1/3 of the files to the FTP folder. This way, I actually gave them the 33% they paid for and I could show the file size to prove it. I also permanently deleted the old site's files from the folder so they couldn't restore from a backup. Not that they'd have a clue how to do that. They threatened to sue me. I'm still waiting. Winky face. Well done, OP! Not only did you give them the 33% they paid for, but their website only loads up to 33%, which I thought was amazing. Thanks for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.